So, the chairman of Augusta, Fred Ridley, took the golf world by storm when he announced that eligible LIV golfers could be teeing off at the Augusta National Golf Club in Georgia. At first, it sounded like great news, but right now, the players on the Rebel circuit are furious at the Masters because it's all but nothing in the short term. The Rebels are gradually realizing that this door doesn't guarantee their qualification despite being given the green light. So where do they go from here? And what's the possibility that the large numbers of these players set to participate in this year's edition will feature in subsequent ones? Well, that brings us to how they'd have to battle for slots in other major tournaments. Keep watching because I'm about to reveal the dark truth as to why LIV golfers are furious at the US Masters. It was undeniably a win for the LIV Golf Series when the Masters declared that it wasn't going to sideline any player based on their allegiance. In other words, even if someone was part of Greg Norman's controversial series, they could easily throw their hat into the ring at the Masters tournament this April and compete for a place in history. You need not be told that that's actually fantastic news, because golf fans want to see their favorite and competitive players like Dustin Johnson and the Open champion Cam Smith playing at Augusta. However, this doesn't call for a full-blown celebration just yet, because even though the door is widely opened, it actually doesn't guarantee their qualification. In fact, it hardly guarantees anything, and to ensure that they make their way into the major tournaments, these players have no choice but to meet the qualifications criteria. And here's the dicey part. According to the world ranking, you'd have to perform well at the previous tournament or be in the top 50. There are also other routes one can take to get there, but the OWGR remains the deal because while some lucky professionals like Smith have their slot already booked in one of golf's 4 major competitions because they've won highly ranked competitions over the last few years, a lot of other stars on the Breakaway League could find themselves missing out on major qualification, simply because the league doesn't have the OWGR approval yet. As expected, they've been sliding down the rankings such that many of them aren't recognized among the 50 best golfers in the world anymore. And at this point, it's safe to say things are getting riskier. But no matter how riskier it can get, some players on the other side have no atom of sympathy for the Rebels, and Justin Thomas is one of them. Thomas remarked that the players are to be blamed for the decisions they made. They knew full well that there's a high possibility they won't have world ranking points if they went into it. Still, they took that risk. So in my opinion, that's their own fault. Thomas went on to say that although he's a little disappointed in the golfers who switched allegiances, he has no grudges whatsoever against any of them. Here's what the PGA golfer had to say.
Can do as they wish. If they want to go, they can go. If they want to stay, they can stay. Selfishly, I think and I know that the PGA Tour is the best place to play in the world.
Well, at least he's balanced in his opinion. You can go wherever you want to, but just don't come crying that you're sliding down in the rankings, or you'd have to cut it loose from major events. Speaking of cutting loose, which LIV stars are currently sitting on the edge? It's no news that most LIV players haven't won any major events in recent history, so they have to do everything it takes to ensure they're in the top 50 by that cutoff point to qualify. Abraham Ancer, for starters, is currently sitting at number 30 and is safe for the Masters. Plus, he's also got automatic qualification for the PGA Championship thanks to his T9 finish in 2022. But again, he's gonna have to stay on top of his game for the other majors. Joaquin Niemann is also in a pretty similar spot as he's currently sitting at number 22 and is safe for the Masters. But like most other people on this list, he has no major wins to fall back on, so it's going to be pretty interesting to see where he falls for the rest of the major tournaments. Though usually, the PGA Championship tends to take the top 100, while the US Open goes for the top 60 golfers in the world. So all he needs to do is make sure he performs well at some of the other non-LIV competitions and not fall too far behind. LIV talents like Kevin Na, Louis Oosthuizen, and Jason Kokrak will all have to compete in other events for a shot at the major events because they're way too close to the edge to be considered safe right now. Other than that, Harold Varner III has an invitation to the Masters this year, but nothing else is guaranteed. Although there might not be any guarantees for these players on LIV Golf going into the tournament on one foot, golf legend Jack Nicklaus has a totally different opinion. While sharing his thoughts on the Saudi Breakaway Series, Nicklaus said the only thing guaranteed in the golf world is the existence of the PGA Tour. The golf legend admitted that most of these defectors couldn't be blamed because the non-Americans among them are not privileged to the organized setup of the game in the United States, like junior programs, high school programs, college programs, secondary tours, and even major tours. Here's what the golf legend had to say.
Built up with a lot of our guys here, and they didn't have that, and I can see that. And they have an opportunity to do something for their family.
But well, that's Jack's opinion. Now let's talk about the LIV golfers who are good to go at major events and those who are safe from the perils of disqualification. This obviously includes most top players you'd expect to see at the majors and other majors. For instance, Bryson DeChambeau, who fell out of the top 100 for the first time since July 2017, is still safe for the next few years thanks to his victory at the 2020 US Open. Even though Patrick Reed dropped all the way down to rank 66 and 22 from 25th, he's also set for at least one more year of British Open exemption thanks to his 2018 Masters win. Then, we have Cameron Smith, who joined LIV Golf late into the first season and has since only dropped to number 5. That said, even if he were to somehow slip out of the top 100, which isn't an impossible thing right now in and of itself, he'd still be in good shape. Why? Because he won the British Open last year, so he essentially has a lifetime invitation to St. Andrews. Plus, he can also enter the other major championships for the next 5 years. Not to mention Dustin Johnson, who has dropped down to number 54 in the world rankings. With his 2021 win at Augusta National, he's all set for most of the major tournaments until 2025. What's more, his 2016 US Open win also extends his invitation there through 2026. Then, we have a few of the league's biggest names who have lifetime invitations to these majors after winning them multiple times. Sergio Garcia, Schwartzel, Mickelson, Johnson, and Reed will all be present at Augusta National, even if they're completely wiped off the world rankings. The same can be said for players like Martin Kamer and Brooks Koepka, who are set for both the PGA Championships and the US Open. And on that same note, we have Henrik Stenson and Louis Oosthuizen competing for life at the Open Championship. Also, some of these players overlap these events too. For example, the Big Phil has a lifetime membership for 3 out of the 4 major tournaments. But guess who doesn't care about who has lifetime membership or has won enough majors to feature in subsequent Augusta tournaments? Yeah, Tiger Woods. Woods has been very outspoken about the Rebel League and has stated that these players have turned their backs on the tour that got them to where they are. He also admitted that his friendship with some of the boys on the other side had taken a difficult path.
Some of our friendships have certainly taken a different path, but we'll see when all that transpires.
But it remains to be seen how it all transpires. However, not everyone seems to be averse to the Greg Norman-led series. You see, shortly after Fred Ridley confirmed that there'd be no discrimination against the Rebels, Paige Spiranac took to Twitter, where she joked about the two groups interacting with a viral World Cup moment. Spiranac wrote alongside a video of celebrity chef Salt Bae attempting to get Lionel Messi's attention following Argentina's World Cup win over France. LIV golfers trying to say hi to Rory at the Masters. Pretty hilarious how she tries to make the best of every situation. That being said, time is running out, and LIV needs to ensure its players are focused on their game rather than worrying about their OWGR status. But do you think LIV stars should be worried about major qualifications and their rankings? Let us know in the comments section below. For more intriguing golf content from us, click one of these videos showing on your screen.